Hey, good afternoon, and welcome to EliteHealthOnline.com. Today we have myself, Clay, from EliteHealthOnline.com, and Sadia, lead compounding pharmacist at Texas Star Pharmacy. Sadia, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, excellent. So today we'll be talking about bioidentical pellets, or what is commonly called bioidentical. We're going to get into that versus synthetic testosterone with injections, and comparing those two. Everything discussed today is meant to be educational. All these medications and therapies we're talking about need to be under physician-guided therapy and come from a U.S.-based pharmacy. So we can help you with that at the end, or by going to EliteHealthOnline.com. But Sadia, for today's discussion, if you wouldn't mind, please just kick us off on, let's compare bioidentical pellets, or what is called bioidentical pellets, to what is often called synthetic testosterone or injection-based therapy. Let's talk through the differences. I know there are particularly a lot of women, some men, who have been to their primary care physician or their OB, have come to us, and they're very interested in a more economical way to do testosterone therapy. And certainly synthetic, or what is known as injectable testosterone, is much more economical. There's also many benefits that I think you can talk us through related to adjusting the dosing, finding the right dose. But many patients that go on the pellet therapy, it's slow to take off. It weans off slowly, and then it's delayed getting back in. But talk us through the differences, and which can be maintained at a more consistent level, and which is easier to adjust to, and what are the real differences, if you don't mind?
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, when it comes to the pellet therapy or testosterone replacement therapy, it's not something new. It's been since 1940s. People and the practitioners have been doing it, and the concept behind how pellet works typically is subcutaneous insertion of those testosterone pellets in an amount ideally designed for a slow release over a period of 90 days typically. So now, when it comes to pellet therapy, most of the time it's considered as, more of a love-hate relationship. If it works out for some patients, it's great for them. But there is a higher percentage of patients who do not like it for various reasons. Number one, it does have about up to 12% of the population have excursions. They go to the office, they have a procedure done, and yes, it's considered as invasive procedure because it has to be done as like kind of minor surgery. And when it's inserted, next day patients complain that, hey, all my pellets came out. So body has tendency to reject it, and 12% is a huge number. Like out of every 100, 12
that's not anything to
patients.
sneeze at. No.
Yes, and as we are moving forward, we are learning more about how the pellet therapy works. The composition is changing, and a lot is happening. More doctors are getting educated. But one thing that I find very common when talking to patients and to the prescribers, that it does not give you a dosage flexibility. Whatever is inserted once, it's done. Now, whether it's too much for the patient or too little for the patient, they have to wait for those 90 days. So it's and I have come across many times the patients like, I cannot wait for it to just, to get back to normal because I'm feeling too much or too little. So
Right.
This is very common. So dosage flexibility is the number one. And of course, it's considered more expensive than the other therapies. But again, beside being, of course, it has pros as well. Like patients don't have to worry about self-administering anything or applying any cream or, anything like that. But going back to the comparing it with the injectable version, there is definitely a lot more flexibility in that, because if the patients are injecting once a week or twice a week, they can always adjust it with their prescribers permission and their guidelines, that, hey, I don't feel too good, how about I can reduce it. Next time they can reduce the dose to half and can find out what's the dose that works best for them. So it's not like they have to wait for an extended period of time, in order to feel normal or balanced. So
Right.
that's number one thing, when it comes to. And second thing, I just wanted to mention that to you also, like, most of the time injections are considered as synthetic. Yes, because of they have any form of, ester chain, either it's a cypionate or enanthate or propionate that is attached to the testosterone. But one thing, just for patient information, is in the bloodstream there are enzymes that hydrolyzes the chain from it. So the cypionate and propionate, everything gets eliminated from the testosterone, and it is just the plain testosterone that it goes and binds to the receptors and produces all those clinically, physiological responses. So whether it's taken in the form of a cream or a pellet or the testosterone injection, at the end, the form that is binding to those receptors is going to be simple, plain
Right.
testosterone.
Yep. So, Sadi, I think one of the misconceptions is that with injectable testosterone, that patients are experiencing peaks and valleys, and I don't necessarily
Yes.
think that that's scientifically correct. If you could just elaborate on that quickly, you know, for example, the way that I do my therapy under doctor supervision is to inject
Uh-huh.
a half a cc, which would be 100 milligrams of testosterone 2 times a week. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm spreading that out like on a Monday, for example, and then on like a Thursday. Okay.
Okay.
So that is the half life of that testosterone. Number one is in, and it's 7 to 14 days, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And
Absolutely.
right, and then I'm getting a constant release, and then every, you know, 3 to 4 days, I'm doing another injection. So that's very consistent. You
Yeah.
have the testosterone. Yeah, much like pellets. I think the main difference that I experience with pellets is when they start to wane off, we don't know. Everyone consumes the testosterone and processes it or metabolizes it at a different rate. So one patient on
Absolutely.
pellets at 3.5 months is tanked. They have no testosterone on board, and they're not getting any more because they're not maintaining the injections. Whereas, and someone else can stretch it 5 months or 6 months, and the
Absolutely.
testosterone pellets are still there, and they're metabolizing, and they're getting plenty of testosterone. It's not until a patient notices that they're feeling bad often that they schedule that next visit and go in and get pellets. Whereas,
Yes.
if I'm understanding correctly, the way with the synthetic or the injectable, I'm in control of maintaining a consistent level with a consistent injection pattern. The half life, we know exactly what it is. And
Right.
if we check my testosterone or check a patient's testosterone 4 to 6 weeks after doing injections, we're going to get a good idea about where they are and where they're maintaining on that injection schedule. If they're injecting a half a
Absolutely.
cc every, 4 5 days, whatever the regimen is, we're going to get a good idea in a 4 to 6 weeks of where they're going to be, and then they can maintain that. Whereas with
Yes.
pellets, they get on that, they're going to drop as those
Yes.
pellets wane down.
Yes, and you're so right, because also, when pellets are inserted in a patient who has a lot of body fat, fats are very rich in aromatase enzymes. So aromatization of testosterone happens, and they start converting that testosterone into estrogens as well. So basically, depending on the body, overall mass index and the fat composition, the lifestyle, pellets will vary. The effect one person will see will be different for the other one, versus when injections are taken. Since you're taking those twice a week, there is, a very continuous administration and more of a natural, if you think about it, our body has a specific amount of testosterone that it produces daily. So
Hmm.
if we calculate that amount and, times it by 90 days and inject and do it as a pellet in one attempt, we have a higher expectations from that pellet that it will continue to work like how body works, which,
Hmm.
yes, it has proven that many times it is correct, this hypothesis works. But thinking about it, like what makes it really bioidentical, if you know like you are taking dose once or twice a week, you're giving the dosages, in a more of a controlled manner and not having a higher expectations from your body to process it the right way. So yes, so basically a lot is in the patient's hand, or controlled, as well as, of course, whatever the changes they're making. If there is a roller coaster thing that they're experiencing with the injectable, it usually happens in the first week or two, because when the patients are trying to figure out what frequency works best for me or what dose works best for me. But once they figure it out within a month or two, they have a very ideal expectations, and it works great for them. Yes.
That's great. So, Sadia, thank you so much. So, I think just to put a cap on today, I think for those folks that are experienced with pellets, the injectable may be a more affordable option, maybe a more convenient option that allows you to not have to go in for invasive procedures that allow you to, I mean, typically, like for me, I could not do like any kind of lower body workouts, cardio workouts for up to a week after that procedure. And may allow patients to adjust their therapy as they go throughout the either the quarter or the 6 month time frame. So it sounds like there's some real benefits, but no real downside to injectable over bioidentical when it really comes down to it.
Absolutely, yes.
Awesome.
And again, yeah, sure. Okay.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was, but mention, okay, injections is sometimes, can be more of a needle related anxiety can, have, and that's where, practitioners at Elite Online can be very beneficial in guiding them, what's the right technique and how it works. And of course, the pharmacists here are very knowledgeable as well in terms of educating the patient. So they are doing it with complete aseptic technique and preventing any type of incidents. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, Sadia, thank you for that today.
sure.
And for anyone out there who is interested, please visit elitehealthonline.com. We'll be happy to get some lab work on you, let you meet with one of our providers. We can have you on the phone just in just a day or so after getting your lab work completed, and get medication shipped out to you if you qualify. So we'd love to treat you, and please visit elitehealthonline.com to learn more. Thank you.
Thank you.